Yeah, on my screen I've got 3 pages of participants here. So
right. One of the problems we're going to have, I'm going to sort of let everyone know ahead of time, if you have not put in your full name when you get onto Zoom. So there's people on there that just say Bob or Brian or James. We don't know who you are. So as we go through the party list and I call your name, we're going to wait. You may have to raise the hand so that we know that it's you to be identified. But ideally, if and when we continue to do this process, it's best if you enter in your full names so that we can recognize you appropriately, particularly for questioning, to make sure you have the opportunity to do so. Basically, when you log in, you can have that setting. I think you may be able to do it while we're on here. So please keep that in mind.
I can't change our name. Usually you can change your name.
Yeah, I think it's shut off. It's disallowing us to do that for some reason.
Okay.
Allow participants to rename themselves. Okay, I just enabled it.
Okay. And then you might want to do some more muting too, Will.
Oh, yes, I see that. Wow, okay. Alright, so what I had to do was I had to turn off the ability for you to unmute yourself. So once you've muted yourself, you may not be able to unmute yourself.
Say that again?
There's a function that allows you to unmute yourself. And that's
Right.
problematic because if I mute someone, they can unmute themselves. So I turned that off. So for instance, like with Scott or with Mila, if you mute yourself, you may not be able to unmute yourself. So you might want to test that out. Looks like Mila can do it because she's a co-host. Scott,
Yeah,
can you unmute yourself? Okay, so I'm going to unmute.
You may have to make us co-hosts to get around that.
Okay,
Same as Greg and Kristen and any other attorneys.
right.
Two more minutes, okay? And then we'll start.
Will Frone Crawford is on, so please make sure to do that for him as well.
And Pat, it's Greg. I'm going to need Andrew listed as a co-host because he's going to be doing the exhibit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nicole Kline as well. Kristen Camp. I don't know if Kathy Labram is on. Don't see her.
I got him.
And I don't see Mark Thompson. Dick, we are continuing to get additional people, so we're up to 84 right now.
Okay, you want me to wait just a minute? A couple
Yeah,
minutes?
I would, because they just keep coming in.
Okay,
There's another 2.
all right.
2.
Okay, let's see. What else here is not muted now.
Kathy Labram is here. Will, if you would like to give her access to, please. Do me a favor, Will, can you unmute neighbors for Crebilly, the Morrows, real quick? I need to find out if their attorney will be on or not.
Okay.
Mark Thompson is not going to be on.
Okay, so you will not have representation this evening?
He is participating through us.
Okay. Thank you. And then, Dick, we do have someone with their hand raised already, so I don't know if you want to address that before we start or what you'd like to do. Linda Miller has her hand up.
Well, is it a procedural question? Do we even know?
I don't
I
know.
unmute her first.
Okay, let's ask.
I just wanted to know if I needed to be unmuted because I didn't have the ability. It said that the host was not allowing us to unmute ourselves.
That's correct. That will continue to be the case unless and until you're recognized to ask any questions.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And 88 participants at this point.
More coming in, or can we begin? I'll take my lead from you.
I think we're about ready. Would you agree, Will?
Yeah, I haven't seen any new ones in a while.
Okay.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Richard Pomerantz, Chair of Westtown Township's Board of Supervisors. My board colleagues, Carol DeWolf, Vice Chair, and Scott Yaw, Police Commissioner, and I want to welcome you and thank you for being here for this latest conditional use hearing. It goes without saying, but deserves to be acknowledged, that conducting the CU hearing in this manner is not just the first for Westtown Township, but by definition unusual, and at times may be awkward. Let there be no doubt that virtual hearing is neither the preference of the board, nor frankly of the applicant. However, after 8 months of delay and a change to the law, it is the applicant's legal prerogative to put a halt to further delaying the process in the hopes that the pandemic improves to permit indoor gatherings. Consequently, we will proceed as best we can, given the circumstances. Finally, before turning the proceedings over to Township Solicitor Patrick McKenna, I will lead off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And with that, Pat, it's yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the continued conditional use hearing for Crebilly Farm, the Robinsons, Toll Brothers. We were last here, frankly, in January of 2020. If you'll indulge me, I want to give a little bit of background on how we got to where we are and what we're going to be doing this evening and as we move forward. So you will recall that we had our first hearing on this application on December 18th, 2019. At that time, for that hearing, the board heard party requests and marked board exhibits only. No testimony occurred, and the hearing concluded and was continued on the record until January 30th of 2020. On January 30th, 2020, the board heard the remaining party requests and heard the testimony of Toll's fiscal impact expert, David Babbitt. Also, the board granted the Toll's request to incorporate the record from the Crebilly 1 series of hearings. Toll requested a continuance that evening to return to the Planning Commission to address the recommendation of the Planning Commission, and the matter was continued on the record until March 25th, 2020. As we all know, shortly thereafter, the pandemic hit, and we were no longer permitted to meet in person for the application due to the governor's stay-at-home order and prohibition on indoor meetings. In addition, we could not find, frankly, a meeting venue that would host us even were we permitted to do so. On April 20th of this year, the General Assembly enacted Act 15 of 2020, which specifically changed the law and permits land use hearings via telecommunications devices, such as Zoom, that we have here this evening. Prior to that enactment, a quorum of the Board of Supervisors had to meet in person in order to conduct the hearing. Notwithstanding, the hearings were extended several more times by the applicant at the township's request, as an in-person meeting was preferred both by the township and the applicant. The hope was that the pandemic would improve to permit in-person hearings. To that end, an in-person hearing was scheduled for July 21st, 2020 at the Uptown Entertainment Venue in Westchester. However, just prior to the hearing, the governor prohibited indoor gatherings of more than 25 people, and accordingly the hearing was canceled. Thereafter, the applicant requested the hearing to be conducted virtually, and it was scheduled for August 5th of 2020. 2 days before the hearing, the remnants of Hurricane Isaias hit our area and caused widespread power outage, and accordingly the hearing was canceled. That brings us here to this evening. This hearing is being recorded just so that everyone is aware, and it is to assist the court reporter with the preparation of the transcript. It is not anticipated that the recording will be preserved or posted to the township's website at this time. It is simply as a means to assist the court reporter and would be destroyed once the transcript is complete. Since the Board of Supervisors incorporated the record from Crebilly 1, I have a couple of housekeeping matters that I have to do as it relates to the board exhibits. During Crebilly 1, we marked a number of board exhibits. And then during the first hearing of Crebilly 2, we marked exhibits B1 through B33. I had to relabel those exhibits B1, B33 so that they were in accord with what I had marked from Crebilly 1. The long and short of it is those exhibits that I marked in December as B1 through 33 are now exhibits B36 through 68. In addition, I have marked the following additional board exhibits for the hearing this evening. Exhibit B69 is a review letter from McCormick Taylor, Westtown Township Civil Engineer, dated February 12th of 2020. Exhibit B70 is a review letter from John Snook, Westtown Township Land Planner, dated February 12th of 2020. Exhibit B71 is the recommendation of the Westtown Township Planning Commission, dated July 14th, 2020. Exhibit B72 is the notice of the hearing for August 31st, 2020. Exhibit B73 is an August 12th, 2020 letter from the Township Solicitor to counsel for the applicant, Gregg Adelman, as well as all parties to the hearing, enclosing the notice of hearing, as well as Zoom platform instructions for the August 31st hearing. Exhibit B74 is the proof of publication of the notice of the hearing for this evening in the Daily Local News, which ran on August 14th and August 21st, 2020. Exhibit B75 is the affidavit of posting of the notice for tonight's hearing, which is dated August 14th of 2020. The board exhibits are all on the township's website, as well as the applicant's exhibits. If you are so inclined and wish to go and review them, they are under the Planning Commission heading on the township's website. I hope that the process for tonight's hearing will very closely mirror, as closely as possible, the process and procedure that we would have for an in-person hearing. Toll will be presenting one witness this evening, their traffic witness. All parties will have a chance to cross-examine the witness. You will be recognized and unmuted as your name is called. It is our hope and expectation that as the exhibits are being referenced and testified to, they will also be displayed on the screen in front of you. If for some reason you have trouble with that, you can also access them on the township's website, as I mentioned. Zoom is a great platform. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it at this point, but for those of you who are not, some of the drawbacks include the fact that there's a bit of a delay. So even more so than when we're in person, I would prefer and ask that everyone please wait until the person is done speaking or done asking their question before you then begin speaking, as it will make it very difficult for the court reporter otherwise. Please do not cut anyone off while they're speaking, and as you can hear, I'm speaking quite loudly. Please try to do so that we can all hear you, and please find a quiet space in your home so that we are not hearing extraneous noises in the background. If we do not finish with the witness tonight, and frankly, even if the applicant does finish, she has already been committed to come back for the next hearing. So Toll has represented that even if we get done tonight and you ask your questions, she would reappear at the hearing. The next hearing is currently scheduled for September 14th at 7 p.m. It will be via the same Zoom platform. All of the information will go out on the listserv. It will be mailed to the parties. It will be on the township's website. It will not be re-advertised. We are continuing it on the record here this evening until September 14th at 7 p.m. Unless something drastic happens, I expect it will be occurring via Zoom. At this point, no additional hearings have been scheduled, though we are looking at dates in October and November. As noted in previous hearings, public comment will be permitted by any members of the public at the conclusion of the evidentiary proceedings by the parties. So it will not be this evening, and it probably won't be the next 2 or 3 hearings. Once Toll is done, and once all of the parties are done, we will give an open forum to the public to make their comment. So that's a lot of the background. Mr. Adelman, are you on? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Pat.
All right, so I'd like to just confirm, it now being August 31st and we haven't met since January, that you agree and concur that the hearing this evening is timely and that you have no objections based on it being untimely or any other timelines under the MPC.
That's correct. We do agree.
And you agree to proceed with the hearing virtually tonight in the Zoom platform?
Yes, the applicant does.
Okay, last thing, real quick. Will, can you make sure that the court reporter has the co-host access in case she also needs to unmute herself? Susan Arnold.
Yeah, did you accept
Susan
the
Arnold.
host?
And I believe.
Did you ask me a question? I'm sorry.
Sorry, yeah. Did you accept co-host rights?
How do I do that?
Let's see. You should see it on your screen now.
No. I mean, I'm not going to mute myself unless we go on a break, so
Yeah.
I think don't worry about it right now.
We're off the record, but Susan now has co-host. It's already listed on there, so you're good.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. All right, so with that, let's go back on the record. And Mr. Adelman, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Pat, and thank you, Chairman Pomerantz, for your opening and your summary. I just want the record to reflect, yes, the applicant's preference was to try to do an in-person meeting, and we did wait and try to facilitate an in-person meeting as much as possible. But as Pat, as you summarized, given the events, we could no longer wait and needed to move forward. So this is where we are. We will try to make the best of it. To the extent as we go through any testimony this evening, if there are any issues with exhibits not appearing on the share screen, please let us know. We can always slow down, stop the share, and reboot it. I've had some issues with Zoom in the past where things that appear on the co-host screen may not necessarily appear on the public screen, so please let us know at any time if those technical glitches appear so that we can try to rectify them as quickly as possible. Pat, as you had stated, we are proposing to call only one witness this evening. That's Ms. Nicole Kline from McMahon Associates to testify about traffic. And I guess we would need to have Nicole sworn as we continue to follow normal hearing procedure.
Correct.
Okay, Ms. Kline, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Great. Nicole, for the record again, could you please state your name and your business address?
Sure. Nicole Kline, Kline, of McMahon Associates, at 830 Springdale Drive, Exton, Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Nicole. Nicole, I'd like to show you what was previously marked in the first conditional use application and now has been incorporated as Exhibit A28. And if you just wait a moment, it should appear on your screen as we share content. Nicole, does this appear on your screen?
It does, yes, and that is my CV.
Great, thank you. I'd ask the board, similar in the first hearing, to accept Ms. Kline as an expert in traffic engineer based upon her qualifications and her licensure as a professional engineer in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. She again is happy to answer any questions you may have with respect to her qualifications, but I ask that the board accept her as an expert in traffic engineering again.
She was so admitted in the first hearing, so we'll admit her in the second hearing.
Great, thank you. Nicole, just by way of background, what is your involvement in Toll Brothers' proposed residential development of the Crebilly farm?
Sure, so I have served as the transportation engineer for the applicant through the various iterations of the proposed site development.
Okay, and you previously testified in the first conditional use application, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I'd like to show you what I've marked as Exhibit A42. One moment. Okay.
Yes.
Entitled Transportation Impact Study for the Robinson Tract, dated August 13, 2019. Did you prepare or supervise the preparation of the Transportation Impact Study that's Exhibit A42?
Yes, I did.
And was that study submitted to both the Township and PennDOT?
It was.
Okay. And did you receive comments from both the Township and PennDOT?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to show you what I've marked as Exhibits A43, A, B, C, and D. If you bear with me as we pull up each one individually. And 43A, B, C, and D are a collection of letters dated January 29, 2020, March 13, 2020, May 13, 2020, and July 6, 2020 from Al Federico. Is Mr. Federico the Township's traffic engineer?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, are there letters contained in Exhibit A43, his traffic reviews of the proposed conditional use application?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And if you bear with me again, I'd like to show you what I've marked as Exhibits A44, A, and B. And for the record, they're a collection of, a couple of letters dated October 11, 2019, and December 30, 2019, from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. Are these the letters that you received from PennDOT by way of traffic reviews?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And some additional documents that I've now marked as Exhibits A45, A, B, C, D, E, and F. If you just bear with me for a moment, we'll pull them all up on the screen. Okay, and for the record, Exhibit A45 consists of a collection of letters from McMahon and Associates dated December 2nd, 2019, February 4th, 2020, February 21st, 2020, May 15, 2020, May 27, 2020, and July 2020. Is Exhibit A45 a collection of your responses to both the Township and PennDOT's traffic reviews?
Yes, it is.
Now, as a result of the Township and PennDOT traffic review comments, Did you revise the August 13, 2019 Transportation Impact Study?
Yes.
I'd like to show you what we've marked as Exhibits A46A and B. For the record, A46A is the Transportation Impact Study for the Robinson Track revised December 2nd, 2019, and A46B is the same impact study revised May 15, 2020. Are the exhibits A46A and B your revised traffic studies addressing the multiple comments you received?
Yes, they are.
Now, as I asked you before, you had testified on the prior application, is that correct?
Yes.
And are you aware that the applicant has modified the conditional use site plan from what was presented in the first application to what is now presented?
Yes.
I'd like to show you what I've marked as Exhibit A47. And this is a plan that's entitled Overall Lot Layout, Proposed Development, prepared by ESC Consultants dated August 9, 2019. To your knowledge, is Exhibit A47 the overall site plan that was submitted with the conditional use application?
Yes, it is.
And if you could, for the board and the public, please explain how this application's site accesses are different than what was in the prior application.
Certainly. The access changes include the addition of the collector road to the plan, which runs north-south connecting West Pleasant Grove Road to Route 926. The collector road intersection with Route 926 has been located opposite Bridlewood Boulevard as required by PennDOT. The Route 202 right-in, right-out access, the direct connection that was on the previous plan, has been removed as requested by the township. Those signify the access modifications from the prior conditional use plan to the current conditional use plan.
Okay, and where are the other site accesses located?
There are also two site accesses along West Pleasant Grove Road to the west of the collector road at Road K and Road M as depicted on the plans.
Okay. And as part of your review and formulation of the traffic impact studies, what intersections and roadways did you analyze as part of this application?
Sure. Along the Route 202 corridor, we analyzed the intersection at Skiles Boulevard and Stetson School Drive, north of the site. We analyzed the Pleasant Grove Road intersection, immediately adjacent to the site. The intersection at 926, also immediately adjacent to the site. Along the 926 corridor, we also analyzed the intersection at Bridlewood Boulevard, where the collector road will intersect, as well as the intersection at New Street. Along West Pleasant Grove Road, we analyzed the intersection at New Street. We analyzed the two site accesses, one at Road K, one at Road M, as well as the intersection with the collector road.
Did you analyze any other off-site intersections?
We did not.
Who owns the surrounding roadways that are directly adjacent to the subject property?
PennDOT owns Route 202 to the east, as well as Route 926 to the south, and the township owns New Street to the west and West Pleasant Grove Road to the north.
Okay. Who determines the design or improvements at the following intersections? And we'll go through them one at a time. The Route 202 926 intersection.
PennDOT.
The 926 Collector Road Bridlewood Boulevard intersection.
PennDOT.
The 926 New Street intersection.
PennDOT.
The 202 West Pleasant Grove Road intersection.
PennDOT.
The West Pleasant Grove Road Collector intersection.
The township.
The first intersection with, I believe that's Road K and West Pleasant Grove Road.
Township.
And then the other remaining West Pleasant Grove Road intersection with the proposed site access.
Township.
And then lastly, the West Pleasant Grove Road New Street intersection.
Township.
Does the township determine any of the design or improvements at PennDOT controlled intersections?
No.
And will Toll Brothers require a highway occupancy permit from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for those state-owned intersections?
Yes.
Okay. Could you briefly describe the existing roadway characteristics of the roads and the intersections that you just testified about?
Yes, the Route 202 corridor is a principal arterial. It's well known as a busy and congested corridor in the region. Additionally, Route 926 is an important arterial east-west through the region and is congested during periods of the day due to traffic traveling to and from Route 202. For southbound Route 202, traffic destined to Route 926, the corridors of West Pleasant Grove Road and New Street are used as a cut-through route. Otherwise, those corridors are generally residential in nature.
Okay, and in your analysis, what did you look at specifically with respect to the existing intersections and adjacent roadways? What did you analyze?
We analyzed the existing traffic operations throughout the study area during the weekday morning commuter peak period from 7 to 9 a.m. and the weekday afternoon commuter peak period from 4 to 6 p.m. And we documented in the traffic study the levels of service, which are a measurement of vehicle delay, and the vehicular queues for these conditions throughout the study intersections. We then projected these conditions to the future without development conditions for these same commuter peak periods. As per PennDOT criteria, the development's traffic impact is measured by comparison to without development conditions.
Okay. Is the anticipated trip generation for this version of the proposed development generally the same as the prior trip generation from the first conditional use application?
It is generally the same. It is slightly less from the previous application simply due to the change in unit types because there are less single family units here versus the previous plan, but a very small change.
Okay. Is the anticipated traffic that is to be generated by the proposed development any different than that which you would normally anticipate from other similar residential developments?
No, it is not any different. It is typical of other similar residential developments.
Okay. And I believe you touched on this on one of your recent answers, but did you analyze the impact of the proposed development's traffic on the nearby intersections?
Yes, we did based on PennDOT criteria. PennDOT's criteria allows for some traffic impact from a development. Specifically, PennDOT allows development traffic to increase overall intersection delay without causing a change in the level of service letter grade, or if a change in the level of service letter grade does occur as a result of the development traffic, then PennDOT's criteria allows for an increase in overall intersection delay of up to 10 seconds.
And that up to 10 seconds is before what? What happens to the intersection if it goes beyond 10 seconds?
If it goes beyond 10 seconds per PennDOT criteria, mitigation improvements at the intersection are required. So essentially that is the trigger for when off-site intersection improvements are required.
Okay. What traffic improvements will be required to mitigate impacts from trips generated by the proposed development?
Sure, so I'll describe those intersection by intersection. First, I'll talk about the development's site accesses. The applicant is solely responsible for site access improvements. In the case of this development, those include the following. The intersection of Route 926 and the Collector Road opposite Bridlewood Boulevard. As required by PennDOT, the applicant will install a traffic signal with all the necessary signage and pavement striping that goes along with that. The applicant will provide a dedicated left turn lane and a dedicated right turn lane along Route 926 to turn on to the Collector Road. And the applicant will provide 2 exiting lanes from the Collector Road itself. At the West Pleasant Grove Road intersection with the Collector Road, the applicant will provide 1 entering lane and 1 exiting lane for the Collector Road and provide stop control on the Collector Road approach. At the West Pleasant Grove Road and site access at Road K, the applicant will provide 1 entering lane and 1 exiting lane along Road K, and provide stop control on the Road K exit approach. At the West Pleasant Grove Road and site access